He should make another stealth check for me as he's making his way towards you now. Please and thank you. 18 based. Please said it was a plus 16. Full on modifier. Okay. As they don't notice you as they're making their way by you, heading towards the basement as he says, "Oh, and by the way, did you enjoy your bit of fun yesterday?" I didn't expect you to ask me to do it so recently, but yeah, I did honestly. She's quite tight, he says, giving a slight chuckle. It's up to you what you do. Again, it's up to you what you do. I want to see more smiles like that in my workers, he says, the Jester Mask says. So, don't just make the threat, I suppose. If he doesn't follow through with buying the item later on today, follow through. Enjoy yourself, he says, making his way down the basement with him. As you hear a slight popping noise as they make their way past the barrier, like... It's not necessarily a debuff on them. You don't know what it does. You can see the basement door, though, was left open. What do you do, though? I still need to know what you do. As you start to hear some muffled screams. But you can't tell what kind of screams. You can tell they're a mix of pain or large displeasure. So what do you do? As you make your way by the basement door, you can see the barrier that I mentioned earlier. Do you test? As you see, it just passes through harmlessly. After you pass the rock, I don't need a stealth check. I don't need a check on that. It's a fucking rock hitting a barrier. You know? So you want to shoot it off in there? Towards there? Roll for me. As you proceed to shoot off a key blast or a sunbolt into there, you see immediately when it hits the barrel, it vanishes and just turns into a fizzle of smoke. You don't know? What do you do? As you make your way towards... Now do you make your way towards the barrier, though? As you make your way towards the barrier, you can... What's it called? You can see how thin it is, but how, in a way, it almost looks like it's almost looking completely translucent. Like it's completely see-through. But everything's got a slightly darker tint to it, like as if the sun's being slightly reflected by said barrier. As you make your way, what do you do? Now that you've made it to said barrier. Let's see if they turn around. No, not. I still need a stealth check, but what do you do? Mm-hmm. Are you making your way through the barrier, or are you just going to stay at the front steps? As you make your way around your barrels and now through the barrier, you can hear them conversating with each other. As the jester fellow says, "Make sure to tighten those binds." It looks like she was squirming a little bit earlier. And the machine that's got her? Well, considering what this machine does, he says, putting his hand on it, as she looks protestant, as she's now, as you can tell, she was recently forced on it. You can do whatever you want with it. Leave it on for all I care. Just remember, it's both slash the worst and best pleasure she's ever experienced, probably. He says, making his way towards this jester says, making his way towards the stairs up into the upstairs part of the building. As you can get a look at this machine, if you want me to describe it, do you really? Yes, she's tied down in the doggy style. Enough time. Enough time. Very painful. Because he hasn't turned it on yet, you can see it's not even remotely turned on to its shifting mode yet. May I ask why we have to use these kinds of torture devices? Why can't we use that? As you can see, a stretching torture device in the corner of the room that he points to. As you're going over to the other side where he wasn't pointing nor looking. Roll again a stealth check for me. What did you roll for your last one, by the way? 16 based. What's your number with modifier? As you would do so. As you hear him say, "Oh, and don't forget to close the door now that you've gone by it." Before you hear the snap of the upstairs door close. Yes, sir? As he makes his way by you, closing up this door to the basement as well. As you see him look directly at you when he makes back his way towards his steps. "I saw you a little bit ago," he says, looking at you. "It's never the fun part to act like you've seen them. That's the whole point of the theater," he says, gesturing to his mask. "We don't call ourselves the Cult of Chaos. You know that, right?" "No. It's just a name we've picked up from street cred, per se." "The anthem. Because you play an anthem before you start a theater." But I hate you, Tyler.
Why were you say all that? No.
And when should I start your anthem, actress? Mask, no mask, ball gag? He says, smiling. Oh, and you're quite pretty for your height and that stuff. I wonder what someone would pay to get you back. Although, they might just piss them off, and if they're strong enough, I doubt I could handle them, but I'm not sure about our leader. That little jester up there is quite the handful. No jokes when he gets serious, honestly. So what's your plan, though? I'm curious. Now that you've gotten down here. Well, if you heard the plan earlier, which I presume you did, based on you following me, I'm going to guess you followed me. I'm going to assume you heard about the Chosen who's coming to the town.
Oh,
That wasn't a lie. Don't act like you don't know.
continue. Don't yeah.
Roll a bluff check. Because I know you know as DM.
I know, right? 20!
Okay, you managed to make your bluff even with... I got a 12. Although with his modifier, it's still pretty significant, but still a 12.
20 if you, then that means I will have to roll deception.
Yes, or what is called a bluff check, deception check, whatever you want to call it. Same thing. Just a charm check, pretty much.
Okay.
Another name for a charm check, so you can add a proficiency to it, just in case instead.
25.
25? You managed to deceive him. Are you serious? You only caught up to me at the end of the conversation?
Well, now that you already gave me a way to get over.
No, I'll definitely have to tie you down. No, but can I do this the easy way before I tell you the whole spiel? Or I can do this the hard way with you. It's not like anyone can hear you even if you have a magic item on you. There's a silencing barrier, as you already probably saw. So those little trinkets that you have that let somebody listen in, they won't work here. It'll be our choice when we let people in to find out where you are. If they find out.
So basically, I can't contact with them.
In a sort of manner of speaking, yes.
So, no ma- so magic can't go there. They can't go outside.
It,
They can't go far.
the magic can't be cast within the barrier at all, as he shows you by casting a spell within the barrier, as you see it. See? He says politely. Any kind of magic. Spells will still exist, per se, but once you cast them, they no longer exist.
Oh, I, I do appreciate that, KJ. That means I won't try to.
You won't try to. You think you could have?
Not really. It doesn't hurt to try.
As you see him going over to a mirror and drawing off a potion, a bit of rope, and a few other things as he pulls himself. Now, it's like I asked you, easy way or hard way?
You are really insane.
No, not for my. I'm not going to drink this and down you right now. This is a different kind of potioning, he says, showing the label to you and sliding it over to you. But you can see the cork's been done in a manner where only he can open it. And you can read in the modern margins, adds a plus 20, but only lasts for a very short amount of time. Strengthening potions like that, if you take them regularly, can be quite long lasting. But they at maximum last for an hour. And that's if your body doesn't process the stuff through really fast. It can vary from person to person. From practice, myself, I've gotten mine to last 2 hours. Potions are potions, though. Again, easy way or hard way, he says. You see him proceed to extend his hand and grab the potion.
Basically, you're over that potion. Saying or telling him.
I don't have to use the potion, but I can. It's just in case. But you said you had questions first. Like I said, I'll tell you them first if you'll do it the easy way. I'll give you your answers first. It's not like you'll get out of here. He says, rolling his eyes. But you can't physically see him rolling his eyes, but he does it in such an exaggerated tone, you can tell he is.
What is the easy way?
You put these on your own wrists, and then you proceed to walk over to the wall while I tie you to it, handcuff style.
And then
That's it. No need for a ball gag if you're gonna do it the easy way. There's already a silencing spell on the door, so unless you're really close to it, they can't hear you scream. Mm-hmm. I could put a ball gag in it. Oh, I'm referring to a silencing charm on the door itself. So a silencing charm is for spells and for noise. So when you would scream, it would sound really quiet or muffled, even if there's not a ball gag in your mouth or a gag.
you're saying that this doesn't work.
No, I'll answer your questions first, and I've got to feed you. And he's got to do his checkup when he's done with whatever he's doing up there. And he does like to be quite, what do I call it? Perceptive. I won't mean he's not going to do anything with you per se, but he's definitely going to be, you know, messing with it. He's not inappropriate, though. He's very to the letter. I know we gave him the jester mask, but he's more of a serious fellow than a jester. His tone just gives him the offbeat. Anyway, like I said, so you're going to do it the easy way? Ask away, then. This is handing you the rope.
Well, I just want to start answer.
As you hand it back to him. What are you going to do instead, then, he says, looking at you.
We're done.
What, are we fighting?
Well, you're gonna start sleepovers in the road. More than likely, I'm not getting out of here quick.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you will. I don't know who's going to be looking for you.
Well, I'm still somewhere. I'll come back.
Fair. Right away would be the better answer, as DM would say.
Huh?
Right away would be a better answer, as DM will say. Um, you know this already, though.
You talking at this person. You talking to them. Not
So
me.
you'd rather do this the hard way. You know, the funniest thing about the strengthening potion is, he says, as he's still holding on to it, are you really going to do this the hard way? He says, smiling. You can tell he's smiling based on his tone. I'll take that as a yes. He draws a gas mask up to his own face and throws it down on the ground.
Oh,
Roll a constitution check for me. They like to turn into gas when they, are broken. And drinking a whole thing? Oh, that knocks somebody right out.
he did that because I'm not exactly used to it.
Yeah, that meaning it'll do it real fast to you as to him. He's wearing a gas mask and he's used to it.
Oh, you did sound good. I'm gonna have to roll. I may have to roll with this again.
You do have to. You do
Yeah,
have to.
yeah, that's turning into a fucking gas.
Yeah, and taken in high doses, it knocks you out.
Exactly.
And you know how fast and you know how fast your body absorbs things if it's in a gas form.
Okay,
You're
so
still
you rolled a
conscious.
20.
You're still
You
conscious if
rolled
you
a
roll
20.
20. If you roll.
You rolled a 20. What?
Okay, you managed to stay conscious, but boy, do you feel fucking drowsy, and you feel loopy, like this room's spinning, like you just drank 20 drinks, and it's getting worse. It's not improving,
Is it not?
and you can see
What?
four of him.
Okay. Okay.
It's not too late if you still want the answers, he says.
Because right now, if I'm going to fight this man at this point, it's going to be victory.
Do you still want the answers to your questions? He says,
Basically, if I fight this man right now, I'm basically going to be victory. And I have everything.
well, he's smart. He knew how to end the fight without having to end the fight, as you already saw. As he draws up, are you wanting to take the easy way now? He's just handing you back the rope. Do you manage to hold on to it with a disadvantage check as the gas is still visible? Or do you just drop it and pass out? Let's find out.
What are you talking about, bro?
As he draws out a bottle and lets the potion that's now evaporated get sucked into said bottle. It's an enchantment. They're quite fun. Well, I mean, I can breathe it physically. I can breathe the stuff for about 2 to 3 hours. But I don't need to be able to be strong enough to lift 20 men. Understand? And with the effects on you right now, you feel like you're probably drinking about 50 drinks. But our plan is, and as you probably already guessed, after the Chosen arrives, is to hand her the weapon. Or partial control of the weapon. By then, we hope to have some kind of stone or power over it. And if it chooses her as a leader or as a recipient, she'll want the full power of the weapon. So she'll talk to us. And she'll want to know how we managed to capture the weapon. Outside of wanting to murder us out of kindness, because that's how this cult or this god works, as a reward, she might want to kill us. She needs us. Because she would want to move higher up in the world, per se. She might look at Nethel as a good hub for information. And for her lust for killing. You can get away with a murder here, whereas anywhere else you may have a trouble with it. We could bring victims for her quite easily. And then we would have somebody of quite good power at our behold, per se. So that's our main plan for it anyway. Though our plan may extend farther, I think personally from there we should be taking the town of Gonford for the next part of it, and we should start spreading our fingers from place to place, being the only black market there is, so that this way all the coin and funds go to us. Any idea what we could do with that money? The only thing I think that could stop us is a particular mage running through our front door and blasting the hell out of this barrier and us. Because I think he would know how to break it with magic. Or as many don't. He says, looking at you. Though I'd still like to see him try and fight the Jester. It'd be an interesting fight, though I still think he would win. What? As he says, handing you the ropes. You got that right, darling. As he proceeds to, as you proceed to start tying your own hands up together rather
While he was
tightly.
doing that, the door banged, and then he kicked me out of the bedroom.
I'm not gonna make you take off your clothes.
Fine. But this potion kills everything.
Oh, as he hands you one of those kinds of potions. As you can see, it's the same color. It's purple. I always carry a spare. With our other victim. They just choose me to have the fun.
So he gets a kick out of it.
Someone gets torture out of it, per se, yet his mask is a smile, just like the Jester's. That's ironic, in my opinion. A smile, but he hates things that are bad being done to people. The only reason why he joined up with the cult is because we still have his mother locked up somewhere. Even though the parent would say, and we've heard her say this, the kid should never be the one to protect the parent. As she's argued with him before. Behind bars. As you manage to, as you tipple the, as you drink, proceed to drink the potion enough or a
Oh,
shot
I
glass
already
worth.
did that. I'm thirsty.
And you proceed to tie yourself to it as he proceeds to say, "Well, thank you." Any more questions? He says. He proceeds to put a bit of cloth in your around your nose area as you feel the effect of the potion immediately wear off, like an antidote. Great stuff, this antidote, honestly. Are you sure you don't have any questions? None about what's being done with Tiamat, why the mage didn't go to the black market auction last night, even though there was a
All
shard
I
of it
heard is
being
all of it
stolen.
is nice.
You forget this town is filled with information, and as the cult we are, called the Anthem, we love our theater groups. Everything is just one big act or play, per se. Nothing's real to a degree if you think about it. Anyway,
No, not really.
I know I have to spill my beans.
But you got me talking.
I know I could do anything to you, he says, drawing his finger across your chin, but not actually doing anything to you. I think that would piss people off in a way, but I'm not sure. No, I have no idea who's come to look for you. Anyway, if I am to understand what's going on with the mage, he's still looking for a way to revive Tiamat. But instead of going for the soul shards and trying to unseal him, guess what he's looking for? And he's found one piece of
What?
bones. Remember, during the battle, the body was sealed, meaning the skeleton still exists somewhere out there. Without the soul, yes, it cannot reconnect, but imagine if he can free it by using the pure power of its own skeleton. You'd have a body to go right back to. And if you know the story of that little town being Gilmont and how they had a dragon head, you knew it can regenerate just from a head. So imagine what it can do with just bones. Without having to wait or do some kind of special ritual. All he's got to do is find the bones. He's found one of the missing bones to the skeleton, although he knows where the gravesite is. That's the biggest bone he found, is the gravesite. He's just got to find the missing bones now that people took to make weapons and things. They don't have to be reformed, but they do have to be reconnected with the skeleton. Exactly. And there's one here in town, in a way. The smith shop, actually, the one you were in. They're selling a weapon made from him, but not for any fair price per se. Well, I say it's fair to a degree, being about 200,000 platinum, but it's not really fair to a degree as well if they're willing to sell it to anyone. Mm-hmm.
Restoring and using restoration. I swear to God, swap the money back.
No, that kind of man, he still needs the soul. Meaning he would still need the soul gems, but if he can cast a spell of to unbind it from the soul gems, he can then have it teleport to the skeleton. Essentially. Essentially, yes, but after a few days of regeneration, I still think it would take Tiamat a day or two to regenerate completely. Personally, I'm not sure if I'm right. Never been around the thing, per se. What's so interesting?
No.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Now, I hope you enjoy yourself. As he said, as you see him go back, make his way back upstairs, you see the jester come down after him. As you hear the jester yell up, "You got a new one already?" Yes, and she's got to be checked up, make sure she's okay and everything. Fair enough. We still got to make our coins somehow, he says, chuckling. And what be your little name, special little lady? I can tell you've got someone special to you. I can see it in your eyes. Plus, very rare people are still happy about the situation, a method of speaking.
I'm rather not sure.
Oh, come on. The eyes are a window to the soul.
Do I notice something about this person?
You can see his mask actually has two eye holes, unlike any of the others.
Yeah, I do come up with these two eyes.
You can tell they're a simmering yellow and they have a slight glow or tint like cat's eyes in the dark. As he draws his hand out, you can see as he makes his rounds around you. You can see him politely say to you, I don't have to take off your clothing for the checkup, right? You're not gonna be rude or try and I don't know. The last one had to take their clothing off because they were trying to be particularly rude, and I like to punish those who are rude to me. That was a punishment because she was embarrassed.
Huh?
Thank you. I don't exactly like to see those things. I don't care, but it doesn't please me either. Never been one to do it, and I don't find it pleasant to look at. But who cares? No one's going to find any soul interesting. Well, at least for this soul, he says, chuckling.
Whose soul?
My own! No one would ever fall in love with this old soul. I've been corrupted for too long after I was. Ooh, it's a long story. I'm not sure if I want to spill it.
Any soul can be corrupted.
Never have, never will.
Even the worst soldiers want peace.
I wasn't particularly bad to start with, darling. Just after the years, it gets to you, does things to you. If, let's say you never have a friend in your life, and you can never have someone to care about you, alone for centuries, it does things to you and your mind. You'll do anything to get a friend, even start a cult, even spend time whittling hours and days away wondering what makes people tick. Thinking it's love. No, wait, it might be fear. You don't know what it is anymore, what makes them interested in you or not. In this case, I don't know what makes them interested in anyone anymore, because I've never had a friend or somebody who loved me. And so it's driven me mad. Don't know if you can ever go back from being as mad as I am. I'd like to see somebody try, 'cause that means there would still be hope. But I doubt it. He says, tossing it off. It's almost as if he's joking, as you can tell my tone. It's intended to be a mix of realistic slash sarcasm. In a way, he sounds like he's given up, but a part of him doesn't.
Do you want what even
What's that? He says with a slight chuckle, as you can see him
what
checking out your
I'm
joints.
what I'm trying to ask you? And no, question is not from me. I'm asking hypothetically.
You better not. I'm stronger than that henchman up there.
I do not. I understand.
Consider I'm the one who started it, he says, proceeding to do so.
Is that basically
I
you
can understand
saying
what. Again, I don't know if you care, and I've told you I lost my mind a long time ago.
what does he lose his mind?
It's everything. Do you see what I've become? He says, pushing off from you politely, though, still.
As he then goes and repositions the ring and hides it in his sleeve.
As you do so. And, well, when you lose as much as I have, you don't have hope, per se. Though I won't say I still disdain at it, as you can see, as you can hear in his voice, a clear line of disgust, but not anger towards you.
Beyond, it's one thing to hear the criticism on his actions.
Doesn't mean I'll get it back, but may as well enjoy the big things in life. What's stopping me from
Tell
trying?
me,
Do you understand what I'm planning? I'm sure my henchman told you he loves to spill the beans if they comply.
oh yeah, he did.
So then you know what I'm planning. I'm the leader. It's my word, in a way. It's making this plan possible.
I know, but at the same time, you want to fill up that very, very tall oversized shoes.
Already did a long time ago. What do you mean?
People give off certain it's almost physical, but then somehow it's at some point it's like I don't know. Well, yeah,
Roll a charm check for me.
he's just trying to be kind.
Oh, I understand what you're trying to do, but I need to know if you get a high enough charm check for
Okay,
something.
let me see.
Just barely high enough, and I mean barely. As you see him draw off his mask. Showing you his face, you can see he's a drow with silver white hair. He does look quite defined and has quite some definition, but you can see his face has been scarred. And these scars look like they've been done with intention. They're edged and ribbed across his eyes from one side of the lip to the other, and they still look fresh. Some of them even have a scabby shield over them instead of a finer look. You can see every single one is, yeah, either or. There's especially one that goes right across his neck, right where the main artery would be. But somehow he's managed to live. This one looks the freshest, but you can see there are stitches around it. No, that's not what happened. I once had hope, per se. Had a choice, in a manner of speaking, on a female like yourself in a relationship. I took the jump. This was before I was mad. And I thought I would take the leap on it. Found out years into it she was cheating on me with another man. She wasn't just cheating on me. When she found out I found out, she tried to hide it from me. And not in a polite manner or a kind manner. Tried to do it both the rudest slash meanest manner ever. Like telling me like he was better than me. That I didn't matter to her in a method of speaking. Did it in a bunch of roundabout ways, so I could never tell it was until it was the last day with her. But that was that was a lifetime ago per se, so I never really felt it. But I got so mad at her once, I nearly lashed out. But I never hit her. But she slit my throat. Out of anger. Because I had found out. And I told her, I'm done dealing with this. I'm leaving now. I can't deal with somebody who's going to do this kind of thing. And I can't say I was acting the most polite. I was acting intimidating and scary. So she could have lashed out of fear. I never blamed her for it at first. But then she swung the knife at me, caught me in the throat. But for some odd reason, and I can never tell why, I lived. That should have been a death sentence. Until then, I've never felt pain. Not a scratch. Every now and then, I test by giving myself these new scars, he says, running his hand down his face. But no matter how many scars I give, not a hair of pain. I thought the blade was enchanted, maybe. Or, yeah, like you said, the artery was well connected to the spinal region or the nerve. So, when she severed it, she severed the pain receptors from the rest of the body. Because you could do that, I thought. So I took the item, or the knife, to a magical user. He didn't know anything about it. Took the thing to... Took myself to a doctor to check it up. They didn't know any way of fixing me. Still don't. But then I prayed to a god and found out why. He's no longer looking at you, but you can see he's kind of pacing the room while he's telling you. I prayed to the god of pain to see if it was him who removed all of it. He said it was, that I should follow what he said next. So I did, and this has led me to here. And I don't like the way we inflict pain. I prefer a knife or a blade. Not sexual mannerisms, but the kids say it's far more pleasurable and painful than a blade, and makes them live a lot longer if you do it right. Yes, that is the reason to that. I never would have invested in one. Would have just kept using the stretching object over there. But then I guess their wrists would pop off and their feet would pop off eventually. Or break off, not pop off. I had one where they got me so mad I split them in half by using that machine. Went a little too far that time. I don't know if my soul can come back from what has happened to it. It's been so twisted now. Misshapen, deformed, whatever words you want to use. I don't know if I'm drow or human anymore. More drow than human, but the chaotic kind. So there you go. Now you know my little tidbit. My little story. Is it tragic to you? Sad? Do you pity me now? I don't want your pity if that's the case.
I want one, but wouldn't be necessary anyway. So,
Well, that's better than pity, in my opinion.
like if you don't have some kind of look on your face, it's harder to not look at you.
As you can see the fellow come down from the upstairs, he brings 2 plates of food. And he says, I'll take those. I still gotta do the other lady's checkup. He wanted to hear stories. Oh, story time. Okay, crazy man. I'm not. Well, I guess I am. I suppose you're right. Bring me down the Cocoa Puffs later. I'm sorry, I had to make the joke. As he sets down one of the plates on the small centermost table. Do you want me to feed you, or do you want to feed yourself? He says, pushing across the table and separating the two. I have to feed her, but I can feed you next. He said he asked you if you 1 second. You can't hear me, can you, Alucard? Alucard, you got it.
Yeah, bro. You want food? Food?
Even if you listen, it doesn't mean you care. He says, pushing the table. Says pushing part of the table over to you.
Sure. Might be understand. It's just that I'm trying to understand. So you can do what you have. Yeah. Like anyway, I don't want to. Um, well, sometimes that could explain why not really feeling so happy.
A reason?
Yeah.
The gods in this world don't have a reason. He brought me to life so I can fulfill his mission of causing as much pain as possible, although I may never feel it again. Although emotional pain, I've never really tested how much of that I feel. Never really had anyone to test that with, or to lose again.
Well, now you're teaching me everything.
Doesn't mean I can't experiment or be curious. Although I wouldn't be emotionally attached to anyone per se. You're right on that front.
Well, how about this? He's like, okay, you were sick. But let's say this, you're going ballistic over this. That might be fine. Totally fine. So right now, you're saying way more than I want to.
It doesn't mean I pleasure it, he says. beating his hand on the table to the point where you can see he gets slivers. He's just plucking out the slivers now. Hate the damn things. Don't feel them, but I hate them. They get stuck in your skin and fester. They become worse than what they are. Anyway, my little popping jay, here's your food, he says, pushing the table over to you as you see him start doing a small checkup on the girl. As she looks at him with disgust as he does so. But you can see he's not rude. He's actually rather polite when he does it. You hear him even ask, saying, "I'm going to have to mess with things. You know this already." And she nods, but despises him for it. You can tell by a look in her face. As you can see, after he's done, he unties her a bit and leaves just enough room for her to get a fork and knife, and pushes the table over her. You never like me to feed you anyway, although I do sometimes. And she doesn't talk to him, but as he hands her the food. Enjoy. Will I be tied to the thing after I'm done eating? Not if you don't want to be. I don't really care, to be honest with you. If you don't want to be, I don't see any reason why I should make you, because, well, it doesn't really help me with negotiation. We already know where your father's at. And your mother's gravesite has already been defiled. Not by me. One of my henchmen took the liberty of doing that. Boy, what pain did it cause to your father was palpable. As you see her eyes blaze as he makes his way towards the stairs. Anyway, I'm sure you'll find it interesting talking to your comrade. If you can call her that. He says, closing the door behind it. He says, closing the door behind him as it's snapped shut. So, you got caught when you tried to free me? Most of them weren't dumb enough to try. Most of the ones who came to try and free me weren't dumb enough to try. They tried to figure out a way around freeing me. Like, wait for me to use the washroom because there's no bathroom down here. So they take me out front or out back. Same thing with the thing. They don't watch. The jester, when he doesn't watch. He's disgusted by it because, well, as he mentioned. One does, not the one who has to make good on the threats. It's a mixed bag with the one who has to make good on the threats. I'm not sure if he enjoys it or if he hates it. I can tell it's a mixed bag with him. But he could be playing up a mixed appearance. I can tell one absolutely despises it. But he's been made to do it once. He was the only one who I tried to improve on his perspective on this whole situation. But from what I understand earlier, his mom's trapped somewhere here. I don't want to know where, because if they're doing this to me, I don't want to know what they're doing to her to make him squeal or talk or whatever. Far worse, though, I can assume. Because he's the only one who can talk to my dad with reason. My dad might just say nothing to the other ones. Because they might make good on their threat, but he would never listen to them. They would never believe them. The other guy actually has respect for my dad. Because of his mom. Mom saved us from starvation once before he was in this situation. He respects him. My dad still thinks he probably would never do it, but now seeing him doing it, he hates him for it, but he doesn't know if he's doing it by choice or not. Doesn't know about his mom being taken away. She was just told she was heading to Belmont, or Belford, which is miles away from here. Anyway. So, what do you think they're planning to do with you? She says, taking a fork full of food.
I don't know. Mm-hmm.
What kind of ransom do you think they could get out of you? You don't look like you're from around here.
Local.
I like your style if that's the case.
Let's see. I don't know. That's my version.
Personally, I would have waited if I wanted to have freed me, I would have waited till they were all out trying to get that god of murder's disciple. Or yeah, her. Because they all wouldn't have been here. Now, yes. Personally, that's what I would have done though.
Hmm.
What?
I'll watch it recorded.
They will be. Give them a few hours. As you see the door open as you've managed to finish off your food a la carte. As you see, it's the fellow who did something to her earlier, along with the fellow who just came back from the shop. You can see he doesn't have the item. He said just one more hour, though. You hear from the two of them. Just one more hour. I thought you said you can get it in the other hour previously. Well, I know I could, but I wanted to give him a bit more time to lower the price. See if we could get it for it even better. Why didn't you buy it then? Well, I didn't see a point. I wanted to see if I could get a better deal. A miser's bargain is still a miser's bargain, isn't it? Yeah, but you didn't listen. You could have done it. And now I've got to make a good enough show to you. To show you I'm not kidding. Get the item, or she'll get it again. He says, gesturing to the girl who's got her hands tied up together. She says, hmm. With or without potion? He says with a concerned look on his face. Not that I don't think you'll do it anyway. You enjoyed it the first time.
Oh.
You're right, I did enjoy it the first time. Without potion. No, if he goes through it this time, he's going to do without a potion. So she becomes Braggers. Yes. She's not Braggers right now. I don't believe you. We still need her. And she'll die from the pregnancy, let's say. She'll die because she's too young for the pregnancy. Doesn't mean we can't help it along with potions. It'll be much more painful, though. You're right on that front. You are right on that front, sir. I still don't believe you. Then I better get started. As she looks disgusted at him for a few seconds. Are you really going to get started? She says, looking at him. As you see him go over to the ropes tied to the wall and tighten them to the point where she's up against the wall. I told him, and I'm going to get started. As he grabs the ball gag off the mirror where you saw him grab the potion last time, or earlier. As I'll leave it there for that scene. As that scene finishes off. What, you want me to describe it?
I'll wait if you want.
Okay. All I'm going to say is there are loud screams of pain and displeasure. Pain because she's up against the wall. Displeasure because you already know why. As you look as you look down at your own ropes, feeling something being undone. As you feel one of your wrists get completely loose. As in the other gets completely loose somehow. But you know you didn't untie them.
Games, I guess.
Not from what you can see. As you hear the basement door open up.
What about the guy?
He's not still here. Well, he kind of you can tell he's still here to a degree. You can see he's passed out on the ground of the dungeon. As as you then feel get something get thrown over and you get consumed by somewhat of darkness, you can see Harkin underneath this what is called an invisibility cloak. As he says quiet to you, shh, 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 no screaming. You'll wake him up. Do you need your?
I'm just looking.
What about the lady friend? Is she someone who you want to be freed?
He says yes. There is.
Okay, I was able to follow your scent here. I still remember I'm still half dragon. I was talking about where the I was talking to the smith because well I saw the quest you left behind an extra copy on the counter and I came by as late as I normally do. Well, not as late as I know. Yeah, late as I normally do. And I found the quest still on the counter because she thought you'd come back for it. Possibly. No guarantees, of course, but she thought you would come back for it. So I managed to find it and then find out about him, and well, the rest adds up, doesn't it? He says now untying her as she almost screams, but then she gets a blanket shoved in her mouth, or the cloak gets shoved in her mouth, and she goes
As I hold up a finger to my mouth.
as you hear him joke, saying, "Let me consume
You're
you."
welcome, sir.
As he proceeds to start taking you up the stairs. I gotta roll a stealth check and with the creaky boards. Okay, he's fine. Roll a stealth check for me there, Alucard. With advantage because you're invisible. I'm only having you roll a stealth check to see if you make any of the boards creak or groan.
20.
12 on a 20. But you do notice something now, Alucard. You already know how they got it because I already explained. That threat was viable, so you can actually see the weapon now still hanging on one of the hooks in the basement still. As you make your way to,
The one that we saw.
yeah, the one they wanted to buy. As you see the jester come down the stairs, as he looks around saying, well, they vanished. Either, well, I managed to get the weapons, so we don't need them to come back. So, wherever they are, I don't care. He says, going over to the weapon, now that you're here, my precious. He says as a joke. Of course, I'm kidding. It's not really my precious. I don't really care what happens to it. But it will make my life a little better if we do this right. He says, picking it up off the coat hanger and proceeding to swing it a few times. It still feels wrong in my hands. Must mean it's not. Must mean it didn't choose me as its master. I wonder who it chose, though. If anybody from the group. Although it could be waiting to decide till the disciple gets here, or the chosen, as it's otherwise known as. He says, keeping now the weapon on his back, though. Better keep an eye on it. As you see him make his way back towards the stairs, proceeding to pluck the fellow up who's on the ground with bitter ease. But you can see his fingers are oddly thin like a hag's. Now, for some odd reason. And you can see he's got long needle-like fingernails. As he throws them over his shoulder and proceeds to make his way up the stairs. As Harkin then manages to make it out of the alleyway with you and starts making his way back towards the fountain, or the main fountain of the town. Follow me, he says, looking at the little girl. Follow you? I'm pregnant. I can... Don't worry about that right now. You should probably get out of the town of Neathel anyway. Anyway, head to the town of Scarlet. It's far safer there. It's not too far from here. Oh, don't worry, I solved that. He has a carriage. Anyway, if he wants to leave, he can take his daughter with him. That's what he said he was going to wait for. Although, not that that will matter, given enough time. The only town that will be safe, given enough time, will be Scarlet. With this town now doing this. Gonford? I don't think the Jester will actually own the town, but I think he'll own a portion of it. So I doubt he'll be able to buy up all the manors, per se. Besides, he'll need the people who have the manors to provide coin, like taxes, so he'll just charge me, like the other one did, which is fine. Otherwise, he won't be able to make any coin. But you have to look at the issue of what can he do with that much power. He's already gone completely off his rocker. Although he does ingest several different kinds of potions to... I don't know if they're to keep him alive or to just... I don't call him sane. But I would like to find out if there's a way to fix him. But I think it will require somebody actually falling in love with either his old self or him currently. And not falsities. No falsities, no false hearts. It would have to be the real thing. Either that or make him feel it through some kind of potion. Although once you snapped him out of it with the potion, the wrath on him would be palpable. I don't think he would care about you. He doesn't even know you all that well. Nothing against you, but with nothing for him to go off of, he wouldn't even know if you're telling the truth. For all he knows, you could be just acting like that to get in his good graces. He's the one who's controlling the torture machines down there. Or was. Leave it at that. That's better that way. Leave it at that. It's better that way. It's better that either we find him someone to love or find him someone that already loves him but hasn't said anything. Or fell in love with the old him. I'm sure if you can figure out his old name, you could find that out. Tell people the story. Tell people the beginning of the story, like asking what was this person's name, but his story, his background was this. He's a drow, and his face is all scarred up now. What's his name? Base it off of his description because you don't know his name. In this town, you can find any kind of information, remember? Oh, the news reporter? Oh, I'm sure she's got a news reel that she didn't write on it because that stuff's way too gory to go to the news. I'm pretty sure she'll have the article on it.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we'll start there tomorrow. It's too late now. She won't be awake. Cherry won't be awake anyway.
Not true.
Marion was her actual name. Me as DM just remembered it.
Hmm.
But Cherry is what we call her by code.
Cherry, bro.
Yeah? He says, raising an eyebrow at you.
Well, what's behind that?
Oh, come on, you left a huge trail. I've been
Yeah.
hunting vampires the past 5 or 6 weeks, and you expect me not to be able to follow a small trail of cookie crumbs.
That's true. People,
And me, of all people, not to be able to follow it.
I'm okay then. There's a lot more to know.
Fair enough. Fair enough
Well,
indeed.
one of these weeks I was a little bigger.
That's true, you were. You look well fed. Yeah, you like a little more meat on those bones anyway.
Hey, that's me.
What kind of meat are you talking about? Oh, just fiddlesticks. And we'll leave it there.
Alright.
Leaves another interesting part for another side quest for you. If you want to keep following his side quest.
Let me get that.
Well, it's another quest for you to do outside of the